Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the very last step, which is you want to install the RRTV tilt wing package, which is basically part of the input-output PX4 Simulink framework that I have developed, and hopefully you have already went through all of the steps outlined on this page, as well as through all of the tutorials on the YouTube. You have already installed that, compiled, and it ran successfully. Alright, so for that to be actually useful, I have made this example that is using a tilt-wing architecture aircraft. And essentially all you need to do is to download this repository, either using the releases tab, which I currently haven't set up yet, or the most recent main branch essentially at this point. So that's what we're going to use. Once you download it, just extract it into the appropriate folder. I'm using just the GitHub client and synchronizing with the GitHub website, and basically what I have is this repository already cloned and ready. One important part is this is specific to VSDDL. If you would like to use your control system, currently this is the only add-on that is supported. The installation is fairly simple. You should have access to this repository or any kind of a local copy of that repository. And essentially what it is just an add-on with very simple instructions. I'm not going to go over those. You literally just downloaded it and copy the VSDDL packages folder into the root of the project that was just cloned previously. So as you see, there's this VSDDL packages folder with all of the other files and essentially proprietary information that I'm not going to be talking about. Alright, so let's launch MATLAB. Technically, this is probably the simplest step of all because you have already done all of the heavy lifting and you just need to make sure that you have installed and downloaded the correct package, because once you've done it, you go to the folder where you have cloned the repository. My folder name doesn't match the name of the repository because I have renamed it multiple times, so do not get confused by that. Alright, so what you need to do is in MATLAB, you need to call this PX4 project.project file, and you can only do it again through MATLAB. Double click on that. If everything is installed correctly, in this case VSDDL, it should automatically, like this package, it should automatically pick up on that and run all of the initialization scripts. You're not going to have any problems with that. And you can double check again, no errors, everything included correctly. You have your package loaded into the file tree as well as other subsystems. So to actually use this and compile, all we need to do is, when we ran the project file, now we can simply compile our Simulink model, and I'm just going to delete. Locally, you're going to have this cache folder created every time you do something, because this is where all of these Simulink related files are generated and stored, as well as after you compile anything, that's where it will go. So if you are starting fresh, you're not going to have that folder, and if you do, probably you're better off just deleting that, because again, this is not part of the initial repository. This is only your locally generated and compiled files. You see that's immediately getting generated and starts to get filled by the project. Alright, I just restarted it so we start fresh without any pre-compiled code. What do we need to do to compile the control system? We just go to the project shortcuts tab on the top, use the open hardware model button. This will launch the correct control system with the integration layer around it. So this control system, by the way, this hardware model, it lives inside of this input-output layer. It uses all of the reference subsystems and the VSDDL package is only a reference there. So if you don't have access to it, you'll still be able to see all of this, because this is the work that I have done. And basically what you are probably going to run into is that this, if something was not installed correctly for this VSDDL package to work right, you're going to see a broken reference, which we don't see right now. It's referencing the control system correctly. You don't see anything being labeled as red. But that's about it. We talked about this in detail in other videos. All you really need to do is to go to the hardware tab. Everything is already pre-configured, no need to do anything. You're probably going to see the green icon that is build, deploy, and start. You can do that if you have PXHawk plugged in and use that. That's perfectly fine. I just don't like that. I'm going to simply build. So it will not ask you to deploy anything to the board. You can just compile the code with your automatically generated Simulink code as part of the PX4 and upload that later whenever you want to. This may actually take quite a long time. Alright, so once it's all built and ready, you see no errors, no warnings. That's how it's supposed to be. You see that 1 out of 1 models has been built. No problem. It took for me about 4.5 minutes, which is okay. Probably it actually took longer than that. This may not be the actual time for all of the steps, maybe some of the intermediate ones. But you're done. All you need to do now is to go to the location of where you have installed the PX4. Alright, all you need to do is to go into the location where you have installed your firmware. There will be the build directory, and inside of that build directory, you're gonna find your binary that you have just compiled. So this is the one you have to use for uploading using QGround control. Alright, so I have plugged in the board. All I need to do is open QGround control. I have the board connected, which is actually not needed right now. We can disconnect that. Go to the firmware tab of the vehicle setup. Plug the board again. Advanced custom firmware file, and goes to the location of where we have just identified, which for me is drive D, PX4 Firmware 0.0. Well, this is not an actual version. This is something I'm doing to have a clean test with the brand new firmware and everything for all of these tutorials, so I know that everything is working correctly. Obviously, you would pick some kind of a better label that is more descriptive. Alright, so we need not the binary, but this .px4 file. Let's wait for it to upload. Alright, so upload is complete. We don't actually need to do anything. Once the board has booted up, the QGround control will automatically reconnect and let us know that some of the things have not been configured, which is totally fine. We went through configuration in a separate video. Alright, so, well, how do we know that the firmware is actually correct? Well, we can use we know already that the SM control mod is running from the previous video. Just as a quick refresher, we can go and call Simulink control mod status, and you see that this is running because we have selected the correct vehicle airframe. And to make sure that the Simulink model that we wanted to generate is actually compiled, what you're going to see is in the list of your parameters for this specific control system and the set of parameters, what we have is there is a special set of Simulink parameters for tiltwing architecture, and these are all here. For the other build, or for the one that doesn't have the control system, this would not be the case. Alright.